Hey guys, it's Goosebumps Completionist, and today I'm bringing you a special story review from the hidden library of Goosebumps. This comes from one of those sweepstakes promotions back in the 90s that I covered in the video for sweepstakes Goosebumps stories you probably have never heard of. I'll put the link to that video in the description of this. I went ahead and decided to review this because I had it and I wanted to see what it was all about. And it comes from March of 1997's issue of Disney Adventure magazine. And it features the story called The Surprise on the 13th Floor, which is labeled promptly Goosebumps Story. Now, this story was finished by a girl by the name of Cheryl Hodgkiss, who submitted, along with thousands of other applicants. R.L. Stine did the first paragraph or two of the story, and Cheryl finished the rest of the story. And it is labeled a Goosebumps story, which is why I'm reviewing it. I really enjoyed this. It is tremendously short. I think it's like less than 2,000 words, or pushing just exactly 2,000 words, if that. But nonetheless, this story was pretty cool. I like the idea of having sweepstakes Goosebumps stories and hidden Goosebumps stories to find in pop culture media. And for the most part, I really enjoyed this. I actually am thinking about making a video covering this story for the channel in case people don't own this, or maybe people overseas that will have a hard time finding this story could have easy access to it. But nonetheless, to give you kind of a rundown without spoiling this whole story because it is super short, this brother and sister duo, Jack and Lindsay, are visiting their uncle Marco in this really tall skyscraper type of building, and they live on the 12th floor while they're visiting him, and they go to the elevator one fateful afternoon to try to go up to the 12th floor, and the elevator completely skips the 12th floor and takes them to the 13th floor. Now, if you're not familiar with superstition at all, most hotels don't have a 13th floor, and it's because of superstition that's been passed down for hundreds of years that the 13th floor of a hotel is cursed, unlucky, or something of that nature. But they get taken up to this unknowing to them 13th floor, and when the door opens, they are greeted with the part where R.L. Stine's contribution to the story ends and Cheryl Hodgkiss finishes the story here. And the story is basically like a Twilight Zone, mirror world type of situation where Jack and Lindsay see doubles of themselves. Now, after communicating with these doubles, they realize that the doubles have the power to make things come in existence at their will. They basically hold the power to have whatever they want at their disposal. And it's because of Uncle Marco experimenting with magic that these mirror versions of themselves exist, and it goes into the origins of that. And basically, the 13th floor clones lower them out of the elevator. They tell them, hey, you should stay here. You can get whatever you want, whatever you can possibly desire. And of course, there's a conflict that happens in the story. And of course, it being Goosebumps, there's a twist where something goes wrong at the very end. I don't want to spoil it, but that's basically, in a nutshell, The Surprise on the 13th Floor. Like I said, this is one of the shorter Goosebumps stories. These are easy to spoil. This is probably tied with maybe the Monster Blood short story and the Time We Ran Away for the shortest officially labeled Goosebumps story I've ever read. So rating it on that merit, I'm kind of thinking on the scheme of, you know, maybe how I would rate that Monster Blood short story, or maybe the Haunted Library short stories, and maybe even closer to like the Tale short stories even. The story's not perfect, but for something that's made to be like 2,000 words or less, I think it was really good. Pretty solid. It had some borrowed elements from like Let's Get Invisible and a famous episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark. Basically, if you merge those two stories, it's basically what you're going to get here. But I did like the twist, and I did like how Cheryl kind of gave that unnerving, like, oh wow, that's actually really creepy ending to the story for a teenager at the time. That was pretty well done. So from a 0 to 5 star basis for this short story, I think it's pretty high given the short story rhetoric I usually follow and the rubrics and stuff. So I'm going to give this pretty much a 4 or higher. I think I'm going to give this probably like a 4.3 out of 5. I deducted 0.7 basically for originality. I felt that the idea R.L. Stine had set up kind of already had been done before in Are You Afraid of the Dark, and then Cheryl did her best to, try to make it something unique and something fresh, but it's still kind of borrowed from the Are You Afraid of the Dark episode, and it kind of borrowed a lot of things from Let's Get Invisible, even down to the whole world-breaking ideas almost. It's very effective. It's not the best short story in Goosebumps, but it's pretty good. I would say it's above average. So yeah, that's my thoughts on The Surprise on the 13th Floor. Let me know in the comment section if you have read this book or this story inside of this magazine book before. Did you love it or did you hate it? I'm dying to know, and I'll see you next time.